Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and today Niantic pulled a pretty big surprise on us. With the release of the massive Biomes update, they released a new Pokemon into the wild, Wiglet. Now Wiglet can evolve into Wugtrio, which is a pure water type with the moveset of Water Gun, Surf, and Dig. And as for Wiglet, it can only be encountered at a beach biome. As we see here, I drove about 30 minutes to get to an actual beach. After walking around for a while, I was able to get one off my incense, so I figured since I have one, may as well power it up, test it out, and see what this exceedingly attack-weighted Pokemon can do. Hopping to the first match, leading Guzzlord into Whiscash. Not a bad matchup. Guzzlord does quite well here, and Whiscash is often paired with Skarmory, which the Guzzlord does not want to see, but having two pure water types in the back to resist Steel Wing is quite nice. I do need two charge attacks to KO, so I am going to go for the Dragon Claw. Not going to fish for a Crunch debuff. Dragon Claw will connect. In comes a Tentacruel save switch. I don't really have an amazing response to this, so I'm just going to stay in with the Guzzlord. Guzzlord fires off the Crunch. The Crunch is going to connect. My opponent is forced to throw energy, or I would be able to make it to the Dragon Claw. So Guzzlord already putting in some very nice work. I'm hoping that I can Shadow Claw down before they make their next Scald, but the Tentacruel hangs on with 1 HP left, making the Scald and dealing big damage to the Feraligatr. I do have a move loaded, so I will be able to click it when the Whiscash gets brought back in here. The Feraligatr is able to grab the shield. Whiscash firing off energy. I'm just going to let this go. I have to try and rely on Wugtrio. Wugtrio, I'm just praying that it's a Skarmory in the back. In comes Wugtrio, and this attack animation is hilarious. Absolutely love it. I commit the shield. Is it the Skarmory? It is the Skarmory. And even though these Steel Wings are resisted, look at the Steel Wing damage. This thing has one of the highest attack stats of any Great League Pokemon, but it cannot take a hit whatsoever. These resisted Steel Wings are tearing this Wugtrio to shreds. Look at this. Skarmory almost has Wugtrio into the red health off of resisted fast moves. They go for the Brave Bird to try and limit farm. They have to try and make a move on the Whiscash, but unfortunately they're not able to do so, and we take the win. Great lead in the next match, Guzzlord into Shadow Sableye, but the Shadow Steelix save switch is going to prove to be extremely problematic. Since this is a Shadow on Shadow matchup in the 2 shield, due to the Psychic Fang's debuffs that Sableye is able to apply, just debuffing my defense more and more, they're actually going to be able to win the 2 shield here, which is very unfortunate. I can force 2 shields with my 2 Hydro Cannons, but at this point, whether I shield their next charge attack or not, I don't have a win condition. I do lag there, but realistically, I'm not able to keep switch anyway. So I'm just going to save the shield and send in the monster attack stat of Wugtrio. These Water Guns deleting this Steelix, but in return, these Dragon Tails are shredding through my HP. And with the defense drop, it's going to get so much worse. Wugtrio hanging on for dear life. I do leave with energy. Opponent is going to be sending in the Sableye. I send in the Guzzlord. They're not switching out, so they don't have a hard counter to the Guzzlord in the back, which is very good news for me. The Crunch, can it KO? It does not. The Sableye able to hang on, getting the last second charge attack. It's the Power Gem, and that does massive damage. I do pick up the KO in the back. It's a Shadow Whiscash, and I have a guaranteed win condition. Wugtrio can't take any hits. It has a pathetic defense stat and HP stat, but it is the highest attack stat of basically anything allowed in this format. So even though Whiscash gets the double up, Wugtrio wins CMP by like 45 attack over the Whiscash and is able to take the game. Moving to the next match. Oh my goodness, Whiscash is everywhere. You absolutely love to see it. Leading Guzzlord into another Whiscash. Whiscash is going to be firing off the Mud Bomb, and I'm very okay with no shielding. The Mud Bomb is going to connect. I decided this time to save the energy and send in the Feraligatr. Opponent is going to respond with Mandibuzz. Mandibuzz, this is where I do wish that I had Ice Beam on the Feraligatr, but I do think that Crunch is very much needed in case I get stuck going up against the Lantern. Mandibuzz will fire off the Aerial Ace. That's a good call, as 2 Aerial Aces are enough to knock out, so there's no need to go for the Dark Pulse. If they overfarm, I can make it to a 3rd Hydro Cannon here, but my opponent has a keen awareness of where my energy's at. And as much as I want Feraligatr to hang on here, it's not going to be able to hang on and pick up that KO. Guzzlord will get more farm. This farm can hopefully be useful, but it's a Skarmory in the back, and this is definitely not ideal. I fire off the Crunch. That's going to connect. In comes Wugtrio. These Water Guns adding up. I will get outpaced, however. Water Gun, not a particularly great fast attack. The Sky Attack will be shielded. In comes the Whiscash. and I just no shield. Let's see how much damage this does. Oh my goodness, Wugtrio. What the heck? This thing cannot take a hit to save its life. I go for the Surf. I'm able to get the shield, and now I'm in a very difficult position. I think I need to try and fully farm down with the Guzzlord. If I can make 2 crunches, and I might even need a crunch debuff as well, then I think I have a chance. So I tank 1, I shield 1, I'm gonna go for the full farm down. Let's see if Guzzlord can clutch against the odds. Guzzlord leaves with double Dragon Claw, but not healthy enough to make a Dragon Claw plus a crunch. I have to hope my opponent calls the bait, but they commit the shield, they get the shield call right, and unfortunately, we do lose the game. Tough lead in the next match, Guzzlord into Alolan Sandslash. I save switch into Shadow for Alligator. My opponent is going to respond with a Cresselia. And in this matchup, I'm very happy that I am running Crunch. Crunch connects, dealing massive damage and getting the defense drop as well onto the Cresselia. The defense drop I still don't think will allow me to farm down. It's going to be really close, but the Cresselia is able to hang on. And I'm going to fire off the Hydro Cannon on charge attack priority. So at the very least, if I have to go in on both shields, I can get the first shield from my opponent. So I will shield up the Grass Knot. I'm now out of shields, but I exit with energy. Back in comes the Alolan Sandslash, and it is on Powder Snow, so it's very good that I got it away from the Guzzlord. But the question will be, can I survive a dig on Wugtrio? Thankfully, this is non-shadow, so maybe I can survive it, but this is not going to be a comfortable survive if I am able to hang on here. Let's see. Wugtrio, please survive this. Wugtrio nearly gets one shot, barely hangs on and makes it to the Surf. Surf should be able to knock out the Alolan Sandslash. What is in the back? It's a Talonflame. If this is Brave Bird coming up, this could be trouble, but I know I survive a Fly. A Fly will not be an issue. It's the Fly. I can tank it, throw 3 Dragon Tails, fire off the Crunch, and this should be Crunch range. So I believe with the KO here, yes, we are able to take that game. We see a Nightmare lead, leading Guzzlord into Wigglytuff, save switch into Shadow for Alligator. My opponent responds with a Shadow Sableye. This is a matchup that I can potentially flip in the 2 shield, but genuinely, if Wigglytuff gets an energy advantage and I'm in the zeros, I don't think Wugtrio is going to be able to get rid of it. So I'm in an incredibly difficult position right now. I'm going to overfarm enough so that if they no shield, I can survive the charms and make it to a Hydro Cannon. My opponent is going to double shield, and now I'm faced with a choice. Do I double shield for switch? I decide against it. I decide, you know what, Wugtrio's glassy. I'm just going to save the shield for Wugtrio, and hopefully Wugtrio can do well. I get the full farm down with the Guzzlord. Opponent sends back in the Wigglytuff, and in the back, it's a Giratina origin. And look at these Shadow Claws. I regret so much that I didn't play for Switch. If I played for Switch, I think I was probably in a good spot here. But now, Wugtrio firing off the dig. That is non-stab. It does so much damage to Giratina. I farm down. If I live a charm, I can win. But I don't live a charm. Wugtrio just too glassy. Oh my goodness. It cannot take a hit. And the Crunch is going to do absolutely nothing. And poor Guzzlord just gets charmed down. Picking up a decent lead in the next match here. We actually go for a simultaneous save switch Shadow for Alligator into Annihilate. Unfortunately, my game lags there, so my opponent ends up 1 turn ahead. Since we both simultaneously switched out of a lead, we should have been at complete energy parity, but unfortunately, my opponent ended up being 1 turn ahead, and that matters because they end up getting a farm down because of it, denying my second Hydro Cannon. I'm going to send in the Wugtrio. At this point, I think my only hope is to fully sacrifice the Wugtrio and just hope that Guzzlord can sweep in the back. Because Cresselia, of course, is Moonblast, which is very threatening, but if I have shields, then they can't Moonblast me. So I just get fully destroyed, fully sacrificing the Wugtrio there as a 3rd and 4th shield, and I just gotta hope that Guzzlord can do well, and it's a Lantern in the back. That is basically the perfect Pokemon that I needed to see here. I'm going to be firing off the Dragon Claw that will connect onto the Lantern. Lantern throws their move right away, and I get a Dragon Tail for free. That is very, very helpful. I'm going to continue to farm with the Guzzlord. Guzzlord, I try and go for 4 and a charge attack priority tie, but unfortunately, again, I lag by 1 turn and I'm not able to get charge attack priority tie. I'm so low on the Guzzlord, but Cresselia, Psycho Cut is double resisted here, so they're only ever doing 1 HP of damage per fast attack. And one fun thing about Guzzlord, its bulk is entirely HP. So you can basically never ever Psycho Cut farm down a Guzzlord. As you're going to see, I've been deep in the red health. My opponent has thrown Psycho Cut after Psycho Cut, and it just does not matter. Guzzlord refusing to get knocked out, firing off the crunch, picking up the KO, and basically by throwing away the Wugtrio, we get the win. We see a massive core breaker on the lead in the next match. Guzzlord into Shadow Magnezone. Magnezone throws its attack as soon as they get it. It could just be the Wild Charge and dip, and that's exactly what they're going to do. In comes the Shadow Gligar. I respond with the Shadow Feraligatr. My opponent does not build up to dig, so I'm not going to shield. Shadow Gligar is able to win the 2-shield straight Aerial Ace if it's ahead on energy. I'm going to overfarm and play to the charge attack priority tie. I'm thinking that in this endgame, probably my best bet is to get a 1-0 shield situation for Wugtrio, because Wugtrio desperately needs a shield, and Wugtrio, if it can land a charge attack, will do quite a lot of damage. So I am going to fire off the Hydro Cannon that gets shielded, and now this is going to set up an aggressive Water Gun farm down for Wugtrio. Look at the wing attacks, man. Wugtrio just takes so much damage. I shield up the dig. If they send in the Magnezone, I can just surf it and it gets KO'd. It all depends what's in the back. It's Hakamo'o. Oh no. Not only does it resist water, but it's very, very bulky. I fire off the dig. That does big damage. They send in the Magnezone. I get a couple water guns, and now I have to hope. I have the crunch, but I need residual energy to KO Hakamo'o. Dragon Claw does not KO, and unfortunately that's going to be a loss. If it did KO, then I was one off the claw, and I could have knocked out Hakamo'o, but unfortunately we fall ever so short. Picking up a positive lead in the next match, leading Guzzlord into Shadow Dragonair. I really like being the Guzzlord in this matchup, because it's very risky for the Dragonair to try and throw on charge attack priorities. You can usually force a shield and then switch out if you want to. I decide to shield up on the Feraligatr, as that way I can preserve some HP. My opponent sends in a Whiscash, and this is terrific. Feraligatr does very, very well here, and I do have a 1 Shadow Claw head start, which means that when they get to their second Mud Bomb, I'm going to get to my second Hydro Cannon, and Feraligatr wins charge attack priority. So I go for the Hydro Cannon. That is going to be a CMP tie, and let's see, are they willing to give up the final shield? They are not, and Whiscash gets KO'd. They still do have that Dragonair. Dragonair, I mean, its fast move pressure is going to delete me here, so I'm going to switch at the last second and snipe it with a Dragon Tail from the Guzzlord. In the back, it's Mantine. If Mantine is able to farm down, this could get very difficult. It's going to be extremely close. Can I survive 6 swing attacks from here? It looks like, oh my goodness, I'm not sure. It would have been really close. It would have been really close. My opponent does not want to risk it. They fire their energy, and by throwing their energy, I no longer have to catch to win this game. I can just send in Wugtrio, and I should just be able to shield one, tank one, and farm down. I'm going to no-shield. This is an Aerial Ace. Mantine doesn't have a very high attack stat. Look at that damage. It gets way closer than it ever should have been, but Wugtrio takes the win. Amazing lead in the next match, leading Guzzlord into Magical Leaf Victory Bell. Victory Bell farming up energy as I fire off the Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw gets them low. Victory Bell is at 5. And here's where I get punished for not knowing Magical Leaf counts. The Sludge Bomb connects. It's Sableye, and it's a Lantern. And I've just lost this game. I don't really think I can win it. Well, maybe. We'll have to see. I still do have the Guzzlord, but Guzzlord could have very easily just 1v3'd this entire team, but I didn't know the Magical Leaf counts. I thought they were short of a Sludge Bomb, and now I'm in trouble. I did get the Crunch debuff, which definitely helps, but that Sableye, it just strictly outpaces Wugtrio, so this is a problem. I'm going to send in the Guzzlord. Guzzlord forces them to throw energy, and then I can Water Gun down with Wugtrio and hope that I have enough energy to be able to outpace the Sableye. In comes the Sableye, and this is going to be tough. These Shadow Claws tearing through Wugtrio, but it's going to come down to who gets the 2 charge attacks first. I fire off the Surf. Surf is going to be shielded up by the Sableye. Sableye, oh goodness, I think they're at 2, and I think I'm 1 Water Gun short of the Surf. Wugtrio is 1 Water Gun short. We made it close, but if I just shielded the Guzzlord, Guzzlord could have cooked, but unfortunately, it's a heartbreaking defeat. We see a very neutral lead in the final match, Guzzlord into Shadow Gligar. My plan here is to tank a move, go for the crunch, and then save switch into the Shadow for Alligator. Opponent baits with the Aerial Ace, that's very fine. I undertap here. It does give them a free wing attack, but they still leave with less residual than if I threw on good timing. I get a debuff, go for the snipe. With the Feraligatr, they're able to bank a dig, and they're going to send in their own Feraligatr. I fire off the crunch will connect, and I get a second defense drop. I'm getting very, very lucky in this game. My opponent will fire off their energy. It's the Hydro Cannon. I try for the farm down, but it's a simultaneous KO. Definitely not ideal. I'm going to send in Wugtrio in the back. Oh no, it's Charjabug. This is not great. I'm going to fire off the Surf and then look to switch into the Guzzlord. The Surf gets no shielded. Opponent did not respect the damage of Wugtrio. And now suddenly I have a win con. I commit the shield on the X-Scissor. They do have the back-to-back. In comes the Gligar, and Gligar has the dig. Even if they throw the X-Scissor, I think I can Water Gun down here, and the opponent realizes it. They do not throw the X-Scissor, and we're able to take the game. All in all, first impressions, I do think that the biome update is probably the best update that's been done to this game in years. The fact that now you can go different places, the game more accurately reflects what it looks like in real life, and different Pokemon spawn in different biomes, I think is a really cool way to refresh the game. And having Wugtrio available as a spawn at a beach biome is a nice way to kind of get people out and exploring. As far as Wugtrio's competitive viability, unfortunately its stats basically doom it. It has a monstrous attack stat. Like, an attack stat of over 150 in the Great League is basically unheard of. For reference, Shadow Charizard, who's known to be like the CMP king, would lose CMP by almost 20 to Wugtrio. This thing's attack stat is just absolutely stupid. If it got like an insane moveset, like the Water Shuriken treatment that Greninja got, maybe it could see some viability, but realistically, with its stats and how they translated into this game, I don't see it having a lot of viability, but honestly, I do think that's okay, considering that not everyone's going to have access to a beach biome readily on hand. I mean, me personally, I had to drive a half hour for it, which wasn't super bad. But yeah, overall, let me know down in the comments how you're enjoying this new biome update. I was very pessimistic coming into it, but so far, I very much enjoyed it. Like, it was very, very enjoyable overall. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our members here on YouTube. The support guys provide is sincerely appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.